Hey everybody, so today I'm working on cleaning up my vintage Blythe, and I'm going to just take you guys through that process and show you the tools that I'm using for that. So I'm going to have a magic eraser. This is like one of the best tools for cleaning any sort of doll things at all. I'm going to be using a toothbrush, and you'll see how that works out here in a minute. I have a tub that I'm going to use for soaking her dress. We're going to use some OxiClean, especially for the whites of her dress. That's going to help whiten that up. And then I love using Woolite for delicates. And Woolite for delicates is really great for, delicates. So I like to use it for doll things. So I clean everything up here in this bathroom. This is our spare bathroom. And it's just a good place for cleaning things because we don't have a lot of like our personal stuff in here, and it's also brighter in this bathroom. So I'm going to start cleaning her up and show you guys the process. Okay, I'm going to start by cleaning up her dress. So I'm going to remove that first, and her underwear as well. And I'm going to show you kind of what I do to clean these things up. This is just my process. There's no, oh my goodness, what's wrong? There's no this is what I like to do. And again, I really like to use Woolite delicates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dampen everything. I'm going to use like a lukewarm water. Most people will tell you to use cold. The only reason I use lukewarm is I just feel like it loosens the dirt up better. So I'm going to wet the little panties, and I'm going to dampen the dress really well. And again, this is just barely a little bit warm. It's not, blazing hot or anything. Just a lukewarm water. Okay, so now that I've got that done, I am going to put a little bit of the Woolite directly onto the dress. So I'm going to pour some in the cap here, and then I'm just going to kind of, remember, like a cap full of this is for a whole load of laundry, so you don't have to use a whole lot. Now I'm going to use my toothbrush, and I'm going to gently scrub at the dress just to give it like a little bit of a, wash. So I dampened it, and now I am just kind of washing it with the toothbrush gently to loosen up any dirt and grime that may be on there. Oh wow, looks like some dye came out there. That's green. So I think we're losing a little bit of dye. We are. So I'm gonna be a little more gentle than what I was being. So I'm actually, we're losing quite a bit of dye here. Yikes. Okay. And that's why people will tell you to use cold water and not lukewarm. So I'm gonna, get that water going cold and rinse it in cold water. Now I'm just going to dip the toothbrush in the cap of the Woolite and give it a little bit of a scrub. I just like to scrub it because, and this is a gentle scrub. I'm not scrubbing hard. I just want to get any dirt and stuff off of it because I'm very, I don't want, there's no telling what the condition this has been in, where it's been stored, if it's been in a moldy area, whatever. So that's just kind of my thing, is I like to clean everything really well before, adding it, especially vintage things. Like when I buy used things that are more modern, typically those things, I'm going to drop that in here. Whoops. Drop that in here. Typically more modern things aren't kept in like gross basements and things like that, so you don't have to worry about that as much. But okay, I'm just going to also scrub a little on the back side because there was some grime actually on the back of this dress, and I just want to make sure it's scrubbed out. So And again, this is a very soft bristled toothbrush that I'm just using to kind of go over and work the soap in to get everything nice and clean. There we go. You can see the lace on the edges here has got some brown stains, and that's where we're going to use our OxiClean to try to remove some of that brown staining there. We'll give it an Oxy bath. So now I'm going to rinse it out really well. And the dress is actually really structurally sound. There's no like rips or tears or anything. It's just kind of grimy, I guess, from the storage situation it has been all this time. So, let's see. So now I'm using cool water because the lukewarm water did make the dye start to run. Even though it wasn't very hot at all, you saw that the dye was running out with that. So, oh well. Usually I can use lukewarm water and it doesn't do that. It just, to me, it helps loosen up the grime and dirt, but with seeing the green dye come out, we don't want to do that. So I'm going to place, the panties are here, I'm going to place the dress in here, and I'm going to cover them with cool water. As so. And then we're just going to put some Oxy on top to kind of let that soak. So, because OxiClean really, for whatever reason, helps get whites really white. So we'll have a nice look afterwards. So I'm just gonna stir that up so that it's, and I'll probably let it soak about an hour or two. Not a super long time, but we'll let it soak for an hour or two to get cleaned up. Now, so I'm gonna set that over up to the side on my old towel to be soaking. And next up is going to be Blythe herself. So I'm going to give her a bath. And now I have read a lot of different things online, and I used the Kenner Blythe guide is really great online and has a lot of links to great cleaning sites. And, you know, they say you can, she is waterproof. The main concern is that there's this metal spring. I don't know if you guys can, if the camera will pick it up, but there's a metal spring down there that could rust. But most people dunk her whole head in. I'm going to, I think I'm going to have to do that to get her hair washed. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the sink. And we're going to let her soak for a little bit in some soapy water to get her cleaned up. Because she does have that vintage smell, you know, the one, so there's no telling what sort of situation she's been in. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to kind of start to dampen her hair because I don't want to submerge her head, but I do want to wash this hair because it does, like I said, have the smell. Now, some people, I've seen people remove the whole scalp and head cap and all that. That's a little advanced for me. And I don't think she's in bad enough condition that I actually need to go to that length to do it. To get her looking good, I think that I can fix this hair up on her head. So we're going to try to do that. So now, let's see. That's probably enough. So I'm going to apply some more Woolite. Now, some people use real shampoo or conditioner. I saw baby shampoo being mentioned a lot. I just really like Woolite. I've always had good results using it. I like the way it smells, you know, so, and it is made for delicate synthetic items, or non-synthetic too, like silks and things like that. But, you know, I just want to, I like to use it because I've had good results with it in the past. It's a little bit expensive for a bottle, but when you're just doing doll things, one of these bottles will last you quite some time. So, you know, well, depending on how much doll stuff you do, but for me, I think that bottle might be a year old now. I've been through a couple bottles in the last 10 years. I mean, I haven't used a lot of it. I actually put it some years on we make Christmas lists in my family, and everybody has to make a list of like stocking stuffers, and sometimes I put a bottle of Woolite Delicates on my stocking stuffer list. I think I'm actually, because you can see this water, I don't know if you can see it, but the water's starting to turn a little brown, so I'm going to continue to wash her hair out, and then I'll clear this out and I'll draw up a new bath for her with less dirty water, so she can get good and clean. And I'll also do a rinse on this hair, so we're just gonna clean that up. So I am gonna go ahead and clear that out. Another thing I'm gonna do real quick while I'm here is I'm gonna just do a light wipe with a magic eraser on her legs to go ahead and try to get any surface grime off. So let's see. Wow, look at, so can you see that? That's green. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I think that's probably dye from the dress, because you saw how the dye was coming out of the dress. Unless it's some other green something, but which it could be, but this, with it being tinted green, I have a feeling that the dress sort of did that. So she might have a little bit of staining from that, but we'll find out. Magic eraser is truly magic as far as dolls are concerned. It really just cleans things up so well, because it's technically like a really super fine sort of sandpaper. So I'm gonna do the back of her head just very lightly, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to just removing surface dirt. I don't want to remove any paint that actually is there. So when you're doing on a doll's face with magic eraser, you have to be super careful about going over it with magic eraser, because it will take the paint right off. So let's see, look how I don't know if you guys can see it, but that is like really green. So that dress did leave some green stains. Not stain, well, I don't think they're stains because they're coming off, but it's definitely like green remnants here. So I'm gonna go ahead while I'm at it and lightly, very lightly do this face. So let's see. I'm sorry the lighting's not the best in here, but I can't fit the lights in here with the camera. It's a very small bathroom. And luckily, this girl is not like too yellowed or anything. Like I've seen a lot of them that get yellowed. So very carefully did that. I don't even want to go anywhere near her eyeshadow because I don't want to take that off. Her cheeks are, I'm barely touching this. Okay, just barely, because I don't want to remove any blush. And again, tread very lightly, very, very lightly with magic eraser around paint. I've used magic eraser on dolls for as long as I can remember, but you know, you cannot be careful enough around painted areas, because it will strip that paint right off. Okay. Oh, if only Kenner knew what a hit this girl would be so many years later. So Blythe was in 72, next year will be 2022. How old does that make her? 50? She'll be 50 next year? Is that right? Yeah, that is right. Because I'm an 82 baby and I'll be 40 next year. She'll be 50 because she's 10 years older than me. Alright, so that's as much as I feel comfortable going over her face with the magic eraser. Her eyebrows got a little bit of dirt in it, but I'm gonna come back with that with a Q-tip because I don't want to remove her. Let's see, I'm just gonna lightly check her lips out. I'm gonna come back over them with a Q-tip too because I don't want to remove anything. It looks to me like her paint here was actually like rubbed up and like the ridge of paint is still there, but we'll see what we can do about that. All right, so now I'm actually gonna rinse her hair. Cool water, I'm gonna rinse that out to get all the soap out. She will smell much nicer. And when I go to fix her hair, I like it to be damp, so I'll re-dampen it again. But what I'm gonna do now is, let's see. I'm going to let her soak for a little bit with some Woolite soapy water to kind of make sure we've got all the dirt and grime cleaned away. And then I'm going to prepare, while she's soaking, I'm going to prepare the things for her hair. Because I'll be doing her hair on my couch because I like to sit on the couch and kind of work on hair while I watch something on TV. That way it's, because hair takes a very long time. And especially with a doll this old, sometimes you want to go plug by plug and you don't want to do massive sections of hair at one time. So, okay. So we're going to let her soak here in the tub. We're gonna leave her like, I think about an hour, and then we'll come back and we'll take her out to go do her hair. Okay, now I'm out sitting on my couch where it's nice and comfy, and I'm gonna start working on this hair. And I'm gonna be working plug by plug, and the tools I have are a flat iron, which I'm gonna put on very low heat because I don't want to melt anything, and I'm also gonna test a very small section of inconspicuous hair before I even use it. I'm going to plug it up now, and I'm going to set it on, let's see, set it on a very low setting. And then I've got a tiny comb that I got with a wig I bought that may or may not be useful for this. We'll see. I've got two different American Girl brushes. They have two different types of tines on them, so one may work better than the other. And then I have a plastic wig brush. Now, I've also bought some product called Son of a Gun that a lot of people say they use, but I'm going to see how I can do without using that product. So as I work on her, I'm just going to watch TV. So I'm just going to go strand by strand and let you guys watch. And we'll see how it goes. dress out and the water is totally green. All of the dye came out of the dress, and look at how green that water is. I am kind of disgusted about this. Okay, well, this is supremely disappointing, and you saw how much dye was in the container, and what's happened is this dress is like completely washed out now. And y'all, I've been washing vintage doll clothes for like 25 years, and this has actually never happened to me before. I have never actually had a dress that the dye ran so badly in, and you can see the thread also ran, so all the green thread inside has stained the collar and the cuffs, and I'm just like, I'm kind of kicking myself, like, you know, I don't know what I could have done differently other than just to not submerge it and soak it for so long, but I've done this so many times with great success. I'm honestly really surprised that this happened. So what I think I'm going to do, at least the dresses are not as hard to find. You can get them. Although I loved how vibrant and beautiful this dress was when I got it. And now, of course, it is not vibrant at all. It's actually very vintage looking now. So, I mean, maybe that's a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing, but the dye was coming off on her legs and stuff, as you saw when I was cleaning her up. So I don't know what the right answer is here. I have a friend that she has told me before, when she washes doll clothes, she always puts a couple of ice cubes in the water to make it super cold. And I also know you can put vinegar in to try to keep the dye from transferring. I don't know if either of those would have helped in this situation just because of how much dye came out. But really, this was a very vibrant green dress when it arrived, and it is not vibrant anymore. It is very washed out. So I think I will maybe try to make a paste of oxy to put on these areas of the lace that got messed up. The hem is fine, so at the bottom that part really didn't get affected, but the two where the seams meet on the sleeves, and then on the back again where the seams meet on the collar, that got messed up. So super disappointed about that. Maybe, like I said, I can find another one of these dresses sometime in the future, and we'll definitely not. I mean, I wanted to wash it because it was filthy. So anyway, I just, you know, whatever. What's done is done. I have done this so many times before. I did not think it would be a problem, but obviously it was. So just know for your Blythe clothes that the dye can run. So if you're going to wash them, make sure to get the water super cold, like ice cold. Probably don't soak it like I soaked mine. I was just trying to get the whites of the lace whiter with the OxiClean, but it, you know, made the dye run even worse. And you could maybe even treat it with some vinegar to keep the dye from running. So anyway, that's that. I had wanted to display her in this dress. I don't know if I will now or not. I really just have to. I may put it on her and see how it looks. But now let's talk about her. So I went through her hair, and you saw some of what I did, but it took a very long time, so my camera did eventually cut out. But what I did is I went kind of strand by strand and combed it out, separated it, wet it, and flat ironed it. But what's not quite right is I still don't quite have the cross hatching of her part right. So I like this tool because it's so it's small and pointy. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to separate them. I'm not going to film the entire process because it's going to take me a really long time, but it's supposed to alternate. So every other plug, one will go this way and one should go that way. So you can see kind of how I've got in the front this one big plug of hair, but it's actually, that might be 3 or 4 plugs. So I need to alternate them more so that this will look right. And then I posted about her in the Kenner Blythe Club on Facebook, and I got some really great tips for how to actually make this lay down. I've used the sock trick before. Somebody said, you know, put a sock over her head until it dries. Somebody said she uses a wet towel and then puts an iron on top, and that actually like lays it down. So I may try that. We'll see. But so what I'm going to be doing today, like I said, is I'm going to be going through these plug by plug using this little tool, and I'm going to try to do a better cross hatching job. So the hardest part here is just separating out the plugs, and luckily I've done all the straightening and whatnot. Of course it's getting tangled here at the ends, so I'm going to try to, I'm just going to try to go through and separate these. And this is see, there's like 1, 2, 3 plugs here. This is a very tedious process, but you know, the results are worth it if you can get the part looking really good. So I think this strand needs to come to the other side, because I've got this big, come on and separate yourself out, because I've got this big lump. And that's why I like this tool, because it's kind of helpful for pushing the extra hairs out. So let's see, let's try to separate this one out, and then I'm going to move it over to this side, so we have more of an alternating here. And see, there's 2 plugs here, so there's a plug, and then I'm going to pull this plug. So they're so close together, they look like one plug, but they're not. So you have to just kind of go in there, and this is where patience is a virtue that I don't have. But I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to go plug by plug, and I'm going to, let's see, this one should go to this side. So let's see, this part's really, like I said, tough, tedious. And I use these hair clips also to try to keep the hair on the side I want it on once I get it there. So let's see, I pulled this one over. You see how it just kind of all goes everywhere. That's kind of what makes it hard, but having these clips really helps to keep it pulled back. So let's see, so I want to pull this one. I just clipped it in. Come on now, let me undo that. I want to pull this one, here we go, there it is, over to this side. And now you see, like, I've got 3 in a row that are on this side. I think I just accidentally pulled some. So you see how tedious this is. Like, it's a push and pull kind of thing. And if you accidentally pull too many to one side. Let's see, that one is this side. So this one should be this side. But anyway, I'm just going to go like this through. I'm not going to film the whole process because, I mean, you can see this is going to take me forever to do. But you can see the individual plugs there. So there's like 1, 2, 3. I've got 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plugs right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plugs, and they're all going this way. But I have to cross them back and forth. So that's what I'm going to work on doing today. And then when I'm done, and like I said, this is the tool I'm going to use just to go through. When I'm done, I'll show you guys the results. And then at that point, I'm going to do a little bit with her ends, but then we'll be done with her. Okay, so I spent almost an hour, maybe a couple hours. Honestly, I don't know, I was watching TV, time kind of got away. Rehatching or rethatching, I think they call it hatching. Redoing the plugs in this front. I'm at the point now where I'm satisfied with it. I kind of went in and did every other plug manually with that little comb I showed you guys. Some of the plugs I ended up splitting in half and doing either way because there was so much scalp showing through. But I got a great tip from the Blythe Club on Facebook, and that tip is to get this to kind of lay down and be more like permanent, to do a wet cloth over the head and then iron it. So we're gonna try that. So I've got a wet washcloth, and I'm just gonna throw it over her head like so, and then we're gonna just kind of press the iron down where the thatching is. So let's being very careful, of course. And that should help it to lay down some so that it's, you know, it barely got warm at all. So I'm gonna do, and you wanna be careful because you do not want to melt the hair. I'm just trying to get a grip of where this part line is, and so let's do that and remove that, and that's looking pretty good. And I think it's just going to need to dry a little. And I may go ahead and put a sock over it too to let it dry out. See, it didn't get really warm. I'm nervous to leave the iron on for too long for obvious reasons. So, and that steam you hear of course is from the washcloth. So I think that looks pretty good, and it's laying down fairly well. I pulled it back in a ponytail so you guys could see, you could really see kind of like what I did with the part there. And it was tedious, but I think it's definitely worth it to get her looking in good shape. So we're gonna do one more thing with her hair. All right, so the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on a couple of these dry ends. I don't think they all need super duper treatment, but I have been, I was recommended in the Kinder Blythe group, they recommend using this. It's a silicone based spray, and they say it works really well for the hair. And actually, I have some other dolls I want to try it on too. So I'm going to see how it works, because for the most part, her hair is okay, but she does have, like right in the front here, these kind of gross ends. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this one in the back, and we're going to start with it first, just to be sure that it's, you know, in case it's really ruinous. I don't want to ruin her from the front. So anyway, so I'm gonna pull this strand out, and they kind of say to spray it, dampen it, and then flat iron it. So I've got it here. I'm going to spray a little of this. I'm probably gonna get my hands kind of gross right here. So spray it in there, and then I'm going to just get it really nice and wet, because you want to do that before you flat iron. And then let's flat iron it. And it does look better from what I can tell. So let me just kind of, and they say you can leave this stuff in. Now, I may have just used too much. Wow, that does seem to make a big difference. So, yeah, so let's, I need to probably put a sock over this head to make sure this kind of lays the way it's supposed to. But let's just go for it, why not? So I'm gonna spray and I'm just gonna do the ends, because the rest of the hair is pretty decent. So I'm just gonna kind of work that in to the hair, and then we're gonna dampen it really, really well, and then so I don't know if you remember from just looking at it, but this piece was like way shorter. It was like way up here, but just doing that little trick has really elongated that piece and kind of flattened it out some. So you just want to make sure it's really good and wet before you hit it with this, because it will melt hair. I have melted hair before on less expensive dolls when I just kind of went for it. So all right, let's do this bit next. So I'm going to do this one to kind of separate it out, because even though I've separated and teased it all out, I sprayed that right in my hand. Let's just get it on there. And put it in here. And you could buy this stuff on Amazon. That's where I found it. Because somebody actually, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, I've never been able to find that stuff. And I was like, well, I found mine on Amazon, because I don't go anywhere. So you can check Amazon out. I think it was $10 for the bottle. and it's worth it to me even just to give it a try. Just for me, for like research sake. Like, I'm interested to see how it all works out. So, I think I'm gonna go grab a dry towel. I'll be right back. Yeah, I want to put a dry towel down. Kind of help keep her from sliding all around. And so that's looking pretty good. It's looking a lot better at the ends than it was looking. So I've got that. So now this chunk, and I'm gonna separate it out a little bit here and do it in 2 sections. So I'll just spray a little bit on, because I don't want to go overboard with this stuff. Wet it really well, and then let's flat iron. And maybe I grabbed too big of a chunk of hair this time. Maybe I should have gone smaller, but ooh, that got hot. You see how much shorter that hair is, but I read online that they actually did cut it kind of chunky like that. So I think I just burnt my light box. There's that. I'm gonna kind of split this up into smaller bits, and then yeah, you can get a lot more. It looks so much better just with that little bit of treatment there. Trying to do it on screen so you guys can see how this is working. Like I said, I'm not going to do the whole head because honestly, I mean, on this side it's really not even all that bad. Like, I'm okay with how that looks. It's mainly just this one side has got some really ugly, chunky dry bits. So let me do the next section. Now you probably see her sliding around up here. Ordinarily, I'd be holding her between my knees and doing this, and then she wouldn't be sliding around, but I wanted to show you guys the process, and it was easier just to do it in the light box than to try to set it up elsewhere. So I think she's looking really gorgeous. And then I'm just gonna get this last bit here. I think that's gonna be it for her. And I decided not to do anything with the lips. I'm just going to kind of leave them as they are, because after all, she is a vintage girl, and I think that's her little reminder of, hey, I'm a little bit vintage. So I think it'll be cool to leave. Alright, so I think that's how she's going to stay. So now what I just have to do is I have to wait till she's dry, and then once she dries, I think everything should be good. I have some foam rollers too. I may roll her hair. I don't know if I want to. I actually hate rolling hair, so I just hate doing it. So we'll see. Maybe not. And I do need to let her, let's see. I need to let that, so I'm going to put a sock on her head, a little damp sock, even though we did the iron trick. I'm going to go ahead and put a damp sock on there to kind of help hold that down so it'll dry in place, and then I think we'll be done. I mean, she looks really good. The only thing I'm upset about is how I ruined the dress, but whatever. What's done is done. So let's get that hair set. Okay, here's the finished product. I'm pretty happy with her considering what I paid for her and the condition she came in. I am still disgusted with myself about the dress. You can see that it is very, very washed out now. I added a pair of boots for her since she didn't have her shoes. So I may try to find another one of these dresses in the future because they're not too terribly expensive. I've seen them sell for between $25 and $40, so maybe I'll just try to get a replacement. The cool thing is though that I pre-ordered a dress from Chew Things that is like vintage inspired, so I'll just display her in that when it arrives. But I'm pretty happy with how the hair turned out. There's still a couple of little like dry spots there, and what I may end up doing, or matted spots I should say, what I may end up doing is treating it one more time eventually, but right now I'm just kind of happy with her and I'm kind of done with the process. But I learned a lot, especially about the hair, and I learned a lot about the clothes and what not to do with the clothes. Don't soak them very long, just do a quick rinse, and don't soak it in Oxy to try to whiten those whites because it's not worth it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my restoration project. Not really restoration, she didn't need a restoration, just a cleaning and a detangling basically is what this was. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this has been a long video, but if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons from Patreon: Lindsay S., Leah W., Jenny C., Doreen Z., Janice H., Mercedes W., Angela E., Cindy K., Bear Sunflower, and Diane B. Thank you so much for helping support the goals of the MPD community and supporting this channel. You can check the description box of this video to see how you can help support this channel through Patreon. Thank you.